Elephant Keepers, Daredevils, Lesson 17. When you look at the lions or tigers in the zoo, you may imagine that if they could get their claws on you, they'd rip you to pieces. Elephants, on the other hand, seem less threatening. Sure, they're big, but they are also slow and lumbering and seem perfectly content to be led around by their keepers. Don't let their seemingly sweet dispositions fool you, however. Every now and then, elephants do get mad, and when they do, they'll trample, crush, or stomp anyone in sight. Usually that anyone is one of their keepers or trainers. Every year, unfortunate elephant handlers find themselves at the mercy of raging beasts weighing 10,000 pounds or more. If you don't believe it, just ask the people who worked with Tyke. In 1973, this 20-year-old female African elephant was on tour with the Great American Circus. One day she became agitated during a performance in Pennsylvania. She charged through the arena, terrorizing 3,000 children in the stands. Her trainers managed to calm her down before anyone was injured. 2 months later, however, at the North Dakota State Fair, her handlers were not so lucky. No one knows what set Tyke off that day, but for some reason she pulled away from trainer Tyrone Taylor. She ran right over groomer Mike Bursley, crushing 3 of his ribs. For 25 minutes she stormed through the midway, while trainers and sheriffs chased after her. Finally, she was brought under control. But the following year, her temper erupted again in Honolulu, Hawaii. This time it was trainer Alan Campbell and groomer Dallas Beckwith who happened to be in her path. Beckwith was badly injured by the stampeding elephant, as were several spectators. Campbell was crushed to death. After she trampled the men, Tyke took off on a rampage. As she thundered through the streets of the city, police pursued her with their guns drawn. It took 89 bullets to bring her down. After Campbell's death, Tony Vecchio, director of Rhode Island's Roger Williams Zoo, went on record saying he didn't think zoos should keep elephants at all. The guy who I thought was the best elephant trainer in the world, Alan Campbell, was killed in Hawaii, said Vecchio. If he could be killed by an elephant, I don't think any keeper could be safe. Vecchio pointed out that elephants can kill you in a second. There's nothing you can do to stop them. He added, "They're the most dangerous animal in the zoo business." There are many examples to back up Vecchio's words. In 1991, an elephant keeper in England thought his elephant's foot looked sore. As he tried to examine it, the elephant lowered her head and butted the man. The force of her blow knocked him against the bars of the cage, snapping his neck and killing him. That same year, a California elephant keeper was kicked to death as he tried to clean out his elephant's pen. The next year, it was Texas, where an elephant grabbed her keeper with her trunk and killed him by smashing his body against the ground. The year after that, an elephant at a Florida zoo killed her handler by knocking him down with her trunk and then kicking him as hard as she could. To be fair to the elephants, you'd have to admit they do sometimes have reasons for their fits of rage. Consider the case of a female elephant who was raised in an El Salvador zoo without a mate. For elephants who are naturally social creatures, this kind of life could lead only to great unhappiness. After 15 years, the elephant snapped. As horrified schoolchildren looked on, she crushed her keeper to death. At a wildlife park in Belgium, keepers made a similar mistake. They separated a male elephant and his mate, putting the two in different pens. Furious, both elephants broke free and trampled one keeper to death. It was despair, not fury, that sent a Houston elephant over the edge. After a typical 20-month pregnancy, the elephant gave birth to a live baby called a calf. The newborn didn't last long, though, and the mother elephant watched her little calf die. For the next 2 months, the mother seemed alternately depressed and angry. One day she went crazy and attacked her trainer, breaking his collarbone and 4 of his ribs. At the Cleveland Zoo, an elephant went berserk over a different problem. In January 1994, Cleveland was hit with a deep cold spell. Temperatures stayed below 0 for days. It was too cold to take the elephants out for exercise. They had to be confined to their cages. One elephant apparently couldn't tolerate the confinement. When her keeper came to visit her, she lunged at him, gashing his head with her tusk. Sometimes elephants are startled by loud or sudden noise. In Spain, a 1993 parade ended in tragedy when a dog began to bark. The elephant who was leading the parade grew frightened and gored his handler in the back, killing the man. In Florida, it was the noise of a car that surprised an elephant, causing her to trample and then kill her handler. Then there was the case of Callie, a 30-year-old Asian elephant on the Los Angeles Zoo. On October 20, 1996, Callie spent the afternoon in the usual way. She performed her training drills in front of dozens of curious spectators. Near the end of the day, a journalist began snapping flash photographs of her. Again and again, the camera's light bulb popped in front of Callie's eyes. In response, Callie picked up a small rock with her trunk and threw it at the man's head. She also threw a clump of dirt at him. Said zookeeper Suji Callie, "She's being rude, just like an 8-year-old child." Shortly after that, Callie stepped on keeper Ronald Rudder, breaking 3 of his ribs and shattering his collarbone. The dangers of working with elephants has not escaped the notice of zoo owners. In the wake of so many injuries and deaths, some owners have adopted new policies that try to minimize human contact with elephants. Still, contact cannot be completely avoided. Where lions and tigers can be left pretty much on their own, elephants need daily care by humans. They need baths to keep their skin healthy, they need to be brushed to keep dead skin from building up on their bodies. They need their toenails clipped to keep their feet in good shape. All these tasks require humans to work in close contact with them. It isn't just necessity that keeps elephant handlers close to their animals. Keepers and trainers say they enjoy working with the elephants. They love the challenge of caring for such intelligent creatures. In addition to physical care, they provide the elephants with mental stimulation. They also make sure their social needs are being met. Despite the risks, many elephant trainers regard their elephants as good friends. In 1993, trainer Alex Gettier summed up the feelings of many trainers. Referring to the 21 elephants he looked after, he said, "They're part of my family."